Happy weekend, friends. Okay, so we're gonna have a little truth talk. It's Sunday. You're hopefully prepping for a fresh week, a new start. I don't ever think it's about going back to a day one. It's always just about recalibrating and just asking yourself, like, what needs to be realigned in my life? It doesn't mean there's been any failure. I don't want you to think of it that way. It's not pass or fail. It's not you've got all your stuff together or you're sucking wildly. This is your authentic, imperfect, real life journey. And when we started talking about the 90-day agreement, that's what I wanted you to show up with this willingness for it to be just a snapshot, an honest to goodness, no judgment, no pass or fail, anything, just an honest assessment of where you're at. Have some self-awareness around the ways you're sabotaging yourself or maybe the areas you're getting stuck on, and then making little tiny, teeny tiny baby tweaks. And last week I talked about how I think it can be really helpful to flatten your goal, okay? Like remove all the emotion, stop attaching your self-worth or whether or not you're winning to the outcome, and instead just be willing to find one small goal, to choose one small goal, and then to take the daily action around that. So today during my workout, because I did work out today, even though I have an injury, it's been a very, very frustrating week for me. But I can either live in that place of frustration and eat like an a-hole, or I can be like, okay, this is where I'm at. And so how can I still choose to highlight my wins? How can I still choose to show up to my journey? And so I did. Today, I just took out all the legs. Hi, Susan. I took out all the legs and I just did upper body and I modified as needed, and it's all a win. Do you hear me? It's a win. I don't need to redo this day later. It doesn't count less. It's still me showing up to your journey. No matter how you show up today, if it's to go for a walk or to do some squats in your living room, like you're taking the action. You're making the decision to show up. It takes zero talent to show up. It takes zero talent. And I think sometimes we compare with other people and we're like, it must be nice for them or they have something extra, or no, like it's simply a decision. So if you have been half-assing it or you've been struggle busing with your 90-day agreement, with your last 90 days of the year, there's zero shame. There's zero space for that. I just want you to assess where you're at today and then make a plan for this coming week. Like, when are you going to move your body? Or are you going to read the energy bus like I recommended? Like, what teeny tiny tweaks can you layer into your own journey so that you do feel proud and you are collecting your wins? Because that's what this is all about. It's not about the number. It's not about the size. And some of you do not believe me. You are still here for that. That's why you're showing up. You're shaming yourself into your journey. You're trying to strong arm it. That's not what this is. Your exterior physical body and circumstances are a direct reflection of what's happening inside your brain and your heart and your spirit. And if you're constantly looking for all the ways it's too hard or you can't do it or wah, you're going to find more proof of that. But if instead that's where you've been living and you're like, this doesn't feel good and this doesn't serve me and I want to become my next level version of me, not on the scale, not in the mirror, but my next level version of me, who you were created to become. If that's where you're at, then you're going to collect your wins with me this week, and you're going to control your controllables, and you're going to unattach all the emotion to this journey, and you're just going to do the next right thing, right? So Autumn said in my workout today, she said, don't be a product of your circumstances. Be a product of your choices. Be a product of your choices. You might be dealing with an injury. You might be dealing with sickness. You might be dealing with a whole bunch of things, but you get to decide how you're going to collect your wins and how you're going to choose to show up and how you're going to hype girl and spin this in your head. It never has to be perfect. It just needs to be yours. Okay? So we're going to do something we've never done before, and we're going to highlight our losses this last week. I want to know how you sucked. I want to know what you missed the mark on. And it's not a shame brain dump. It is a being super honest and authentic in what's off kilter in your life. So maybe you didn't do what you said you were going to do with your 90-day agreement. Maybe you said you were going to work out, but instead you ate Cheetos. Maybe instead you said you didn't have time, but you just went down a rabbit hole on social media and you watched a whole bunch of people and you compared a bunch of shit in your brain and you lost the time you had devoted to working on yourself. Instead, you watched other people. You're literally watching your own life click by, if that's what's happening, okay? So I want to know what you said you were going to do and you didn't do. It's all right. Let's see if you're brave enough, if you're honest enough, if you're willing to be authentic and uncomfortable enough with me to own what didn't go according to plan. And there is no space for excuses or reasons or why. I don't care. If you want to explore that in your journal, then that's perfect. That's what you do. But I'm more curious about how did we fail this week, because failure is never a sign that you're like totally off track. Failure just shows that you're on a growth journey and you have self-awareness where you can step out of it and you can see this was an off kilter, or I didn't hold this promise for myself, or whatever. So for me, it was meditation. I don't know how many lives I did, and I was like, okay, you guys, meditation is on my list. I have it on a Post-it. I'm going to get to it. And I had the time. I had the opportunity. I simply just didn't want to. So that's my truth. I'm owning it. Next week, even starting today, I don't have to wait for a Monday. You don't have to wait for a Monday or a new month or anything. You can always decide at any point to just realign, refocus, recalibrate, recommit. Those are good things. There's no shame in that. That when you're willing to do that, when you're willing to be a work in progress and own your imperfections and own your mess ups and own the ways that you didn't prioritize your own journey, I think there's a lot of growth that can come from that. Now, if you live in this space where you're constantly giving yourself grace and you're like, well, next time, and you're never actually taking the action, that's a whole different conversation. But a lot of you with me here, you're with me here. You're on this journey. You're working to become that next level version of yourself. And I just want to remind you that it's okay to have the messes. It's okay to have the little tiny failures and the oopses and the off weeks. It doesn't have to dictate the rest of your journey. It's like I always say that yesterday doesn't belong in today unless we invite it. It's literally no business being in today. What happened yesterday? It doesn't define whether I'm having success or I'm failing unless I assign that value and I bring it into today. So how are you going to reframe this upcoming week? How do you need to realign what you're committed to? The thing, that promise that you said to yourself, I'm going to do this for the final 90 days of the year. If you haven't done it yet, if you keep making excuses, and maybe it's not the right goal. And there's nothing wrong with that. And maybe you know what your goal needs to be. Maybe you have a gut nudge, a spirit check, and you know I need to do this. But you don't want to because it's uncomfortable, or you're worried about it, or what if you fail? What if you fail? You're gonna freaking fail. Welcome to the club. We all fail at some point. It's gonna take longer. It's gonna look differently. Your results might not be exactly what you thought in your brain, but that doesn't mean there's not value in it. That doesn't mean there's no growth in it. It is okay. Don't be a product of your circumstances. Be a product of your choices. What will you choose this coming week? How can you choose to be the freaking winner in your life? Hype girl the shit out of yourself today. And next week, and the week after that, okay? Halloween, here it comes. I personally hate Halloween. I mean, I'm here for the candy, but I've never been a fan of the rest of it. And I could hear in my coach brain, those of you saying, you know what? This is just too hard. I need to wait until after Halloween, and then it will become Thanksgiving, and then it will become Christmas. So easy to allow it to snowball and to keep kicking the can down the road. There is zero requirement for you to give up anything, okay? There's zero requirement for you to get on this super, super squeaky clean, like straight and narrow journey. That's not what this is. This is about you living your best life. Living this life where you prioritize mindset work, where you're drinking your superfoods, where you're moving your body every single day, no matter what that means. If you're going for a dance, or you're going for a run, or you're dancing in your living room, or you're pushing play like me, or you're going to the gym, or you're attending CrossFit, or you're just working on your pelvic floor. Like there's no, this is better, this counts more. There's none of that. This journey, we live this life. We follow a nutrition plan. We eat like we love ourselves. We prioritize sleep and rest and water and play and joy. We do those things. We live this life so that we can live this life. So you can have a little Halloween candy if that's what you want to do, or have the pumpkin pie. Do not categorize this all in this all or nothing category where I'm either doing this or I'm doing that. That's not what this is. And I shared yesterday about all the changes Beachbody is making, which I'm so excited about because it's more in alignment with who I am and how I've always coached and run these groups, because I don't want to live this like super hardcore perfect life. And I think like I didn't even realize I had extra pressure on myself until I read all these announcements and I heard all the things and I saw the stuff happening at leadership. And I feel so freaking proud to be aligned with this company. And I just think this is an amazing time to be working on your journey. What a freaking gift. We get to work on our journeys. If you are choosing to coach like me, you get to help other people navigate the way. And I think sometimes we put too much pressure on that, right? We think we have to be this like shining leading example, but like you just need to be a work in progress. My job is my journey as a coach. And your job is your journey. Even if you're not a coach, like that is your responsibility. I can't do it for you as much as I would love to. As much as I would love to do the work and help you figure it out, I cannot handhold and show up every second of the day. You are the superhero in your story. You are the one that gets to decide if you're going to allow your circumstances to dictate your outcome, or if instead you're going to choose to collect your wins and to do the work and to be imperfect and to mess up and to fail and to get off track and then choose to get back on track. You get to choose that. You get to choose that. And there's no pass or fail. There's no win or lose. This is your imperfect journey. So if you have been quiet, if you have been ghosting me, if you have been living in the shame cycle of it's not enough or it's not good enough or I'm never going to get there, you need to quit that shit out right now. Knock it off right now. It is not serving you and it doesn't feel good. It does not feel good. I've lived in that space. So I know from personal experience that it's impossible to shame yourself into living a better, happier, more fulfilled life. This is your life. So show up to it. So I want to know. Drop me a comment. I'm going to create a thread in here. I want to know how you failed this last week. I want to know what you sucked ass at. I want to know what promise you broke to yourself more than once. It's just self-awareness. It is removing some of the emotion and the, oh my gosh, this means something more about me. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything other than the fact that you allowed your circumstances to matter more than your choices. That's all it is. Like we all make choices, and sometimes it's really easy to just not do the thing. Stop assigning so much value. Stop putting so much pressure on it. Take back your freaking power and do the thing this coming week. Cool? Cool. I still have to put together all of our week 3 things. I'm going to do that today. I'm going to share them in here. And I hope that even if you are late or even if you've been quiet and not doing this, I hope you decide to plug back in. This is your journey. It doesn't have to look like anyone else's because it's yours, right? Right. There's 1,000,001 of you in my inbox, which is hilarious. And I'm so glad. So I'm going to be working through that today as well. But, text is always the best way to get in touch with me. And I hope that you hear my words in your head today. And I hope you hear them in your head tomorrow and the next day and the day after that this is your imperfect journey and that the only responsibility you have is to honor the promises you've made to yourself and that you do your best and you surrender the rest and you stop attaching so much emotion to all of it. You're not sucking. You haven't failed. You're not too far behind. You aren't a terrible person. You're you. And maybe you need to be really honest with yourself and you need to do a little more deep diving and self-assessment and figure out why does this matter and how is it actually helping me? Cool? Cool. So I'm going to hop off here and do some other things. I got to eat some food. But today, I modified my workout and it's still 100% a win. I did not meditate a single time last week. That is my honest truth. Oh well. I can meditate today and I can recommit to it tomorrow. I can preserve that time. I can set myself up for success. Like I could set an alarm on my phone to kind of nudge me. If you were like me and you struggle with time management and actually doing the things that you say you're going to do because you get sucked into this like scroll or doing other things, Amazoning, that might be a really great option for you. Give yourself the space to win. Allow yourself a little extra freedom to like do the thing. And if it's not perfect, who cares? That's how you get better, right? It's okay if it sucks. It's okay if it's struggling. It's okay if it's messy. It's okay if it doesn't look like anyone else's because it shouldn't. It should be yours.